Grad student Adam is writing a thesis on the N-word. In an attempt to do good research, he goes to rap battles to observe. Soon he's no longer an observer, but a newcomer, battle rapper with bars of his own. Quickly, he makes a name for himself, and his stakes get higher with each line. And in the heat of battle, he has some decisions to make about his love, his friends, and even his life. Welcome to Hip Hop Movie Club. This is the show for Gen X hip hop fans who want to relive the glory days and reconsider classic and modern hip hop films from a current day perspective. Together, we'll explore some of the larger societal issues raised in these films. Whether you have or have not seen Bodied before, we'll help you decide if you should take the time to watch it now. Either way, you'll be a smarter hip hop fan by the end of this episode. In the next 30 minutes or so, you'll get all this and more. I'm Dino Wright, podcaster, filmmaker, longtime hip hop fan, and I recommend reading Dilla Time, The Life and Afterlife of Jay Dilla, the hip hop producer who reinvented rhythm, by Dan Charnas.
I'm JB, 80s and 90s nostalgia junkie, longtime hip hop fan, and my top song from my 2023 Spotify Wrapped was California Love by Tupac.
I'm Boogie, a DJ, longtime hip hop fan, and I once handled hospitality for X to the Z exhibit, The Far Right, and their entourage.
In this episode, we'll answer the question, is Bodied an underrated film?
Bodied is a 2017 battle rap drama featuring Adam, a graduate student who slowly immerses himself in the world of competitive rap battling while working on his graduate thesis on the subject. All right. So Bodied, which was produced by Eminem, has been out there for a few years, but I don't think it got a lot of critical acclaim or attention. Let's get into it. Would you say that this is a believable story, and why or why not? Boogie?
I'm on the fence with this one because some aspects of it seem pretty believable. I mean, you can look at some of the current artists that are notoriously on the airwaves right now, and they're very gimmicky. And they're also getting co-signed by some of our quote-unquote hip-hop legends. So, and also, this is also the age of things going viral. So all it takes is one person to kind of have a camera or video of some of these battles, and it goes on the internet and it takes off. With that said, I think that some of the storyline as far as Adam coming up, I didn't really find it too believable. I mean, yeah, he was able to compose bars on the fly because of his background with the slam poetry that he was doing, but I think that some of the conversations that happened during the movie would have definitely not went the way they did. For instance, when they were at Megaton's house and Shay had relations with Megaton's girlfriend, and Ben and Megaton came to a consensus that it was going to be squashed by battling, and Adam just decided to kind of quote unquote, almost like he tried to punk Megaton in his home, like that whole conversation, like, oh, this is how you're going to handle it. You know, I thought you guys were from the streets. I'm like, yeah, man, that wouldn't have ended the way it did in real life.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, why would you egg on a guy who's got some heavy artillery on him, and he's gonna egg him on? It's like, that's all you got. That's all you got, man. He'd been smoked.
That would have been end credits right there. The movie would have been over.
Yeah, I was scratching my head, like, why is he doing that? But I was just thinking, like, a believable story about his on the come up. Like, I think it could happen because, you know, anybody, you can put your mind to it and put in the work, you know, and work your way up. It could happen. He could become a rapper, because we'll get into it later, but I think there's similarities to Eminem's real story that we saw in 8 Mile, especially when you see the very end, the last scene. I think what Eminem was doing, it was kind of like channeling, B Rabbit a little bit with Adam's character, because he was in a foreign territory, predominantly Black and Latino dominate this underworld of battle rap. Very rare to see like a nerdy looking white guy, somebody doing his thesis. So he's kind of, the odds are stacked against him, and he could easily be bullied. But if he just sticks with it, kind of, befriends Ben along the way and gets a little bit of that credibility. Say, hey, yo, this kid's legit.
Right.
This kid's legit. And, you got to get that endorsement or mentor. And then I could see it happening. What do you think, Donna, right?
I thought it was believable enough.
Yeah.
I was not convinced of Adam's motivations throughout the film, so I didn't know what to make of him. And so he didn't know what he wanted. He was always vacillating between two worlds. He couldn't make a decision about it. And so there's some aspects that weren't totally believable, but yeah, I think it was believable enough.
I mean, not to psychoanalyze, but I think that he's, his relationship with his father, like his father was just very standoffish, and even when he wanted a place to stay, he said, no, you couldn't stay with me. And he didn't like that he was going down this road, and he just kind of just shunned his own son. And so I think he wanted some of that respect and admiration that he was lacking. And like when you go to a rap battle and you have a crowd cheering you on and you do a good thing and you're beloved, I mean, that's kind of like addicting. It's like a drug.
It certainly went to his head.
Yeah,
it
and it goes to his head. Exactly, right.
It definitely went to his
head. Yeah,
he was swollen the head.
That's true. He took it to another level. So let's talk a little bit about the rap battles. Like, did you guys enjoy the creativity of the lyrics? Do you have any favorite lines? Let's talk about that, and then maybe we could talk about the origins of rap battle. Like, where does rap battle get its start from? So,
well, I mean,
what about that? Yeah,
I think in the moment as I was watching it, I did actually enjoy some of the lyrics in the rap battles. I don't actually know if I actually wrote down any favorite lines, but I definitely remember, I was watching it and I definitely enjoyed some of it. The only thing, the one thing about the battles that always kills me, and it was the same thing I said with on the come up, there was no beats. No beats.
Yeah.
So I get thrown off when I hear, even in general, I do see some of the viral videos every now and then of some battles going on, and I'm like, yeah, where's the beat at? Like, how do you stay on a beat? Like, if you're an artist, like, how do you work on your cadence and your flow? Like, your flow isn't flowing if you're not riding on a beat. You can kind of pause and stop and do whatever. But the main task is to stay on that beat. And I think that's what makes it difficult for a lot of people to quote unquote freestyle a battle. And that's the one aspect that I did like about 8 Mile, not to compare the two, but 8 Mile, they actually were freestyling over beats. And if you couldn't keep up with the beat, which is kind of, what happened at the end when B Rabbit, took Papa Doc's thought process and started telling everybody his own about himself. It's like, yeah, all right, now what am I going to say while riding this beat? And he couldn't do it. But in this instance, he probably would have been able to come up with something because there's no beat to keep up with. It doesn't keep you on your toes as much.
Right.
But I mean, I did enjoy it because I mean, I'm a fan of like snapping, cracking, dissing, dozens, whatever you want to call it. Like, I grew up in that. So yeah, I was getting a kick out of some of what they were saying, even as some of the cringeworthy stuff. So I knew they were like, at the end of the day, they were all hanging out and being friends and whatever. So, all right, they're not really taking it personally. They're just kind of saying what they got to say to win the battle.
It was just nasty insults after insults, but it was creative nonetheless. And like I said, they sign up for it. So even Prospect, the Korean guy, like, he took all those insults about the Asian culture, but afterwards he's like, "Yeah, man, that was good. And like Shay, Latino, and it's like, it's all those stereotypical stuff. But afterwards, like, kind of that's what you sign up for. There was one, I think I think it was maybe Megaton, but he was battling Adam. He had lyrics, something like, "You look like Justin Bieber in a effing muscle T-shirt."
Oh
You're
yeah.
Oh,
a
yeah.
fan of Hanson, Marilyn Manson's God's grandson. You could see the influence of Eminem. It's something that he would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think Adam was like, "I'll grab Che and let him bust you till the chopper jams on your falafel stand from his taco van." It's like, you know, Eminem kind of like, he always extends the verse by another link, and it's like,
Yeah. On another hand, and another hand.
yeah, yeah. It's like, wait, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, man. So it
Definitely
was
can pick
creative.
up Eminem's flow out of there.
It was entertaining for sure. Yep, and they all had their own style. So rap battles, you know, as you talking about it, and I think, Dino, right, you may have mentioned this in a previous episode. The Dozens is the origin, I think, of a lot of the battling. And also it could be like how roasts came about, how people get roasted, and kind
Absolutely.
of a derivative of the Dozens. So, I mean, I did some research upon the Dozens. Like, it's a game where people just insult each other till one of them gives up, and it's common in African American communities. And there's like an audience, and it kind of like it's really hype. And I think you can see a direct correlation between the Dozens and rap battling. You guys have any
absolutely.
other? Yeah, you agree with that, Boogie? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only thing, it's basically they're playing the Dozens, but they're rhyming. They're making they're making the insults rhyme with one another. But it's definitely the same exact format, because I remember, like I said, I grew up with it. So all through elementary school, I think all through elementary school, like it would be the same thing. Like outside at lunchtime, you'd have two people going at it with a crowd around them, and just boom, one person, boom, 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 and nothing was off limits. Nothing was off limits, and you just insult after insult until, like you said, until one person gives up. And sometimes, like I know in my instance, I would get so bad at people they don't want to fight.
Well, that's what you see
horrible
in the movie too. I mean, you see Megaton twice. He punched people, right, including Adam towards the end.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, that's not right. You got to restrain yourself, but you take it so personally that it's hard not to restrain. It's hard to restrain yourself and not get physical.
Yep. And I tell people all the time to this day, like, because of having to do, because of growing up doing that, like, if somebody insults me, I can always have a quick response, whether or not I choose to say it. Like, now I've learned as an adult to not say everything that pops to my head.
Yeah.
Because, you get, put yourself in situations that you don't need to be in. But yeah, this is definitely like along those lines, and I can definitely see the straight correlation. Like, there's no zigzag. It's like a direct straight line to it.
Yeah. And then another, like, I guess, tangent of the Dozens is like the Your Mama jokes that were so popular. Like,
well, that's part of the Dozen. Yeah,
that's part of it too. Is just insulting someone's mother. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Your
whole
Mama jokes are
subgenre.
definitely part of it.
Mm-hmm. I remember they had those books that came out, the Your Mama jokes, and they were hilarious. I remember seeing this. Like your mama's so short, she sits on the curb and her legs swing.
Yep. Yeah, your mama's so dumb. She got fired out of the M&M factory for trying to put them in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
Your mama's so dumb she thought a quarterback was a refund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Stuff like that.
Your mom's so fat. When she sits around the house, she sits around the house. Yeah. When she steps on the scale, it says "to be continued." So, we're a hip hop podcast here, hip hop movie club. Remember, the Far Side had the song, the Your Mama song, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a whole bunch of the mama insults. And when we were back in college, Dinah, right? You remember we used to always joke the one that cracked us up was "Your mom's got a glass eye with the fish in it."
Yep. From the
we
song.
should just that's a recurring verse or piece of that song.
That was an often said line. Yeah. It was well worn.
Yeah,
Classic.
that's hilarious. So in this film, like there were a lot of different rap battle competitors. We could talk a little bit about a few of them. I mean, Ben Grimm's one of the first that we see, and he's one of the main protagonists besides Adam. Adam's, I guess, the main protagonist, but Ben is like a legend. He's in the game for a long time, and he's well respected. And the name Ben Grimm is the thing in the comics.
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah. That's such a hot name, though. When I saw it, I was like, wow. That's a dope name, Ben Grimm. I like that.
Yeah, they just spelled it differently. Maybe, I don't know if it was for copyright or just, it's like BEHN and then GRYMM. And then I alluded to the Korean rapper. His name was Prospect. It was funny because he worked at a sushi restaurant. Mm-hmm. He's like, wait, you're not Japanese, you're Korean. It's like, oh, you guys don't even know the difference between us. Yeah, and then there was that. Remember the sensei got offended by some of the rap, and he just knocked the guy out with some martial arts.
Spin kick.
Yeah. And there was Shea Corleone. We mentioned Shea briefly. Was he Ecuadorian? Do you guys remember his actual nationality?
He was Ecuadorian.
Ecuadorian, right? And it's another thing. It's like, oh, I think they were calling him Mexican or something. And another thing is like, oh, it doesn't really matter. You're all the same type of thing. It's like, hey, come on, man. I'm Ecuadorian. And I thought it was creative what they did with the names is because Shea from Che Guevara, and then Corleone from The Godfather, and they kind of combined those names together. Yeah, he was a feisty one. He had some skills, but he was a little bit overmatched at times, and he had relations with Megaton's girl.
Yeah.
What was the name? Backwoods?
Bella Backwoods.
Bella Backwoods.
Another funny name they used.
Yeah. Shea was funny, though, because Shea would, in the midst of the battle, he'd spit some bars and like nobody would get it. He's like, you don't get it?
Yeah.
This was a little more refined.
It was like crickets.
Like, you have to explain the bars. It's not as good. It's not as good. Like explaining a joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And Megaton, which is a play on words, I guess, with Megatron, the Transformer. Middle Eastern
big bomb.
Yeah. Middle Eastern dude, big hulking guy, and he had a mean streak. He was violent. Like I said, he would take things personally, and he literally would punch opponents at times. He was very skilled with his rapping, though. He was good. Yeah. But you talked about that scene too, where he had guns and stuff, and you don't want to mess with him.
I saw in the credits that he wrote some of his lyrics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw it was in the credits that he actually wrote some of. I'm guessing he wrote I don't know if he wrote all of them or not, but I saw it went by kind of quick. And I'm like, hey, he actually wrote some of them because I remember his name showing up, Disaster, and it's like, yeah, such and such something written.
Yeah, in the credits it says that he wrote. Yeah.
So I guess he is a rapper, or he had done rap because Disaster. He's credited as Disaster, and then
he's a battle rapper in real life. Yeah.
And then Prospect is dumbfounded. So he's a rapper as well. Yep. Shea Corleone is not a rapper, I don't believe. Walter Perez is his name in real life. Yeah. Unless he had dabbled, I'm not sure. There's Divine Wright. She's the black female rapper. Takes no crap. She was fun. Brief mention is this guy, Billy Pistols. He was kind of like the poser guy. He was lame with his skills, and he's the one that confronted Ben and Adam in the parking lot and early on. And that was Adam's first opportunity to battle. And he kind of bodied him, and that's when he's like, oh, wow, maybe I can do this. And he was all happy. And I remember him telling his girlfriend, Maya, in the car that he kind of won that battle. And that, I guess, the light bulb went off, like, hey, maybe I can do this.
Yeah, do this, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was like an adrenaline rush for him too.
Yeah.
And he was like super hyped and excited.
Like I said, he was probably looking for some sort of validation because he wasn't really getting it at home. I guess because he had an interesting relationship with Maya, his girlfriend, which we can get into, and obviously that the odd relationship with his father, who was played by Anthony Michael Hall, 80s
Yes.
teen idol superstar. He was in all the John Hughes films.
Yeah. Hughes, yeah.
16 Candles, and he was even in Vacation and
Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club, all those movies. He plays Adam's father in this movie, and he is a famous writer and a college professor. I think this is supposed to be UC Berkeley, so it's a prestigious college. Yeah. But also, what do you guys make of Adam's girlfriend, Maya? Like, how would you describe her?
I think she was a sympathetic figure. Some of it was a satire of wokeness, I feel like, but I thought she was believable, and I think she acted the most normal of everyone.
she was very, I put in my notes, like, and he even mentioned, like, she's like crunchy granola. She's like very earthy, bohemian, and she couldn't get over the misogyny and the insults in the rap. You know, she's like, how could you do this? How could you say this to another human being? And I guess I kind of get her point, and maybe it is satirical of wokeness, where it's like, come on, this is what they do. There's this guy, boys being boys, or plus, Walt Devine is in there as well, but like, they're just doing their thing. This is what they do. It's kind of like locker room humor, but yeah, I understand her point. She kind of took it to extremes. So I'm not sure what the writers wanted us to feel about her. Did they want us to feel like she's kind of lame, or she's kind of like, well, she's the one that's kind of trying to keep him grounded? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it didn't work, but
yeah.
It was like, for me, she was like a cross between staying grounded and logical to almost being to Adam's hypeness. She was almost like a Debbie Downer type to his hypeness. But I get it, because his hypeness was going to his head and he was starting to go off the rails a little bit.
Yeah.
But the one thing about her character that drove me nuts was when she videotaped part of the battle and then played it in the classroom.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, you know what? I kind of see why you didn't want him to get involved, and you were trying to keep him grounded and keep him focused and keep him on track, and kind of trying to shift his thesis to another subject. But that was wrong. Like, you just kind of put him out there. Like, if you really cared about him, that's not the way to do it.
I don't think she cared about him, though.
She definitely didn't.
I guess her take is anybody that would get involved in that world is not worthy of dating, although like they stayed together for quite a while. But yeah, I mean, that's an easy way to get someone canceled. Cancel culture, is kind of at an all-time high right now, or maybe it peaked in as ebbs and flows, but it's very prominent in society today. And like literally that set off protests on campus, like, because he's spewing Asian hate, he's spewing misogyny against women, like,
all the hate there is,
all the hate you could think of, right? And obviously it is a bad look when but it's kind of out of context, because it's almost at these events, again, you know what you sign up for, all bets are off the table, you have to have thick skin, this is the game you're in. So it's not like you're literally going up to an unknown person and you're in their face. This is what it's about.
Yeah. And it was kind of thrown out there without context.
Right. Yeah. I think she knew was when the release of the battle was what happened, and so she could use it in her presentation.
Yeah, that was
because she didn't film it. That was filmed at the event.
Right.
But she took it and edited it out, right? I guess.
Yeah, she definitely played the most damning clip of them all. Yeah. So, that was cringy.
I mean, speaking of cringe, there's a lot of tough insults to see. Again, all the ethnic stuff is bad, and then, I mean, the big one. I think we were talking about this pre-show. Boogie, you want to talk about like the one that's even more above and beyond, right? With Ben's daughter.
Oh yeah. So as Adam starts to progress through his wanting to be a battle rapper, he takes up offer, and also, well, Ben kind of encouraged him a little bit too, because Ben was a family man. He had a wife, he had a daughter. He worked as a software designer. Or was it a video game designer?
Video game designer.
Video game designer. And so he had a nice, respectable career. Did the family thing, and he was using the battles as a means to supplement his income. So he wanted to take the battle against Adam, but Adam took it to a whole other level. And and Ben even said it. He even explained to Adam that he didn't like to talk about anyone's personal stuff, because he didn't want anybody coming after his personal stuff. He kept his stuff separated, hidden, and he just left it at that. He just kind of left his insults directly to who he was battling. And I think even he said, I talk about how I'm going to shoot you up or something like that. I think that was exactly what he said. But Adam decided to bring Ben's daughter into the battle, and his daughter has cystic fibrosis. And Adam just talked about how she struggles to breathe and how Ben can't help her because he's a bad father, and comparing Ben's demise to his daughter trying to reach for her breath, and it was just hard. Oh my God, it was hard to watch.
That's hard to watch. Yeah, he took it too far.
Yeah, he went way too far.
Yeah, I mean they had like a gentleman's agreement not to do anything personal, and they both kind of broke that rule in that specific battle. But again, I guess rules go off the table, go out the window, I should say. But that was really terrible to see. And what happened? So they battle that way, and then all of a sudden these other two guys come in, and they do, even after he insults his daughter. They do this 2 versus 2 battle, and it's like
40 mag and blunts.
Yeah, those guys, 40 mag and blunts. And these guys are like saying, "We can take you guys. We can take you guys." And Adam and Ben team up, and they kind of win that battle. But the damage was already done. That
was done. Yeah.
Afterwards, towards the end, Ben is just like, "That's it. I'm out of here, man. I thought we were friends. That was it." Yeah, there's some things that cross the line.
Yep. He said, "I'm going home to my family."
Yep, where I should be. Where I should have been all this time.
I should be, yep.
That's funny. So Ben's wife was a little bit of a character too. She just saw Adam, like, "Why are you doing it here? Like, you're racist and everything." And she didn't give him a chance. She didn't give Adam a chance at all. Yeah.
She came in full throttle.
Yeah. She did not want to hear.
It's all right through him.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's talk a little bit more about, the obvious comparison you're going to see is with 8 Mile, because Eminem had a big hand in both movies, both Bodied and 8 Mile. Do you feel this was semi-autobiographical for Eminem? And what are similarities between Adam's character and B-Rabbit in 8 Mile? I'll kick it off. I've already mentioned the nerdy white kid, obviously entering a territory not really known for white guys. Similarity is kind of I saw, how in B-Rabbit predicted all the insults about him in 8 Mile. Oh, yes, I live in a trailer park. I have a bad, my mom drinks too much, blah, blah, blah. What else are you going to say about me? But we saw that in that one battle. Was it Divine Right? Did the same thing?
Yeah, Divine Right
and Prospect.
And Prospect. They both went on their own cultures and stuff, and everybody was doing a double take, what? That was dope. But why are you insulting yourself? So he kind of used that same aspect of hey, beat the other person to the punch. So that was similar, right? What else was similar? Do you guys think?
Yeah, I think even as Adam progressed, his quick-wittedness and how he was able to take what was said against him and throw it back at his opponent is very Eminem. Even I've heard some of his earlier freestyles, and seen some of his early battles, and you would say something to him, and it was kind of like he did it in 8 Mile, when he put that Leave It to Beaver line. He flipped it back on him, and he's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "You killed me. You almost killed me with that Leave It to Beaver line." But yeah, I turned around and flipped it on him. It's like Adam's flow was very reminiscent of how Eminem could take an insult thrown at him and throw it right back at you a little harder.
Yeah. I wasn't sure how. I mean, I know there was some autobiographical elements to it, but I don't really think. I mean, obviously they were from different socioeconomic circumstances, and so that already makes it a lot different. Adam's a graduate student at Berkeley.
Yeah, right.
B Rabbit is in a trailer park in the Detroit suburbs. Like, what?
Yeah.
They're very different. But there was sort of the same kind of make a name for yourself in this foreign world. And I know why Big Rabbit was doing what he was doing, because he was trying to get out of where he was. But I don't know what Adam was trying to do. Was he trying to get out of the Ivory Tower world? Was he trying to be in the battle rap world? That's why I was confused. That's why I said earlier I was confused about his motivations. And
like I hinted at. My theory is that I think he was just seeking validation and admiration that he wasn't getting at home, because he doesn't really get it from Maya or his father. I don't know if he mentioned his mother being in the picture or not. I don't think so, because I think the parents were divorced or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just think that he was seeking some love and admiration that he wasn't getting elsewhere. And this was like a way to get that.
Yeah.
The mob mentality, if they like you, then you're a king,
Yeah.
The other strategic thing with the battle rap that I saw at 8 Mile too, I think Boogie, you kind of hinted at it too. If you go back to B Rabbit versus Papa Doc, he exposed him like, I know something you don't know. His real name's, he went to a private school. And the same type of thing is that, like, when he came out with, hey, listen, this guy works at he's a video game designer and he's a family man. And it's like, ooh, he's a family man. And everybody gets on his case. And it's like, it's funny. But
the personal stuff was a turning point in both movies.
Personal stuff, right. It's like he'd exposed him for being
his real name was Clarence.
Hardcore. Yeah. These guys aren't really hardcore like they look. Yeah. Like they pretend to be.
Cyrus, he designs video games.
Yeah. The thing that, I wasn't thinking there were too many parallels to 8 Mile, but the very last line of the film where he was saying, I need to know my rapper name is, and then they start playing My Name Is Slim Shady, which was his first really big hit, which kind of introduced Eminem to the masses. And it's kind of like, oh, is he saying that this is a alternate version of Eminem?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, did he have?
Without saying it, they're saying it.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, and I wonder if he did face a lot of the stereotyping, your white guy and battle. I wonder if he actually did get punched at a few times and knock his tooth out and win this battle or something. Could have been. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like the battle rap component was kind of like what we saw in 8 Mile, but ratcheted up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The battle raps were on steroids compared to the 8 Mile.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think Eminem had a lot more in the tank where he wanted to show off some of his skills in battle rapping and writing for it. I don't know if this movie ever went to the theater or it came straight out to the streaming services. I didn't hear too much about it, but I remember
it's a YouTube original. So
okay.
I don't think it actually did.
Probably not in the theaters. Yeah, but if you're a fan of battle rap, this is a good one. This is I would say it's a good watch.
Yeah, I mean there was some homework done with this movie. There was one part that I remember that stood out for me when Professor Merkin, Adam's father, was in the classroom. He was doing a lecture, and I forgot how he got to it, but he referenced one of his favorite lines, and it was in reference to LL Cool J. and then when I remember that, and I distinctly remember that was the LL Cool J Cannabis beef, and Cannabis said, 99% of his fans wear high heels, and LL responded, yeah, on his rhyme, yeah, but 99% of his fans don't exist, and I was like, oh, I remember the first time I heard that, like, oh my god.
I mean, Cannabis came after the king and missed.
Yeah, and Cannabis
what are you doing, man?
And Cannabis is such a dope lyricist. Like Cannabis,
he is. Oh man,
I remember when he hit the scene. Like he was on all of those underground DJ Clue mixtapes, like rhyme after rhyme after rhyme. And I don't even know. I can't remember the full story, but I remember he just he insulted LL, and it was on that 4321 track.
Yes,
and they were recording that, and the beef kicked off from there, and they just went insult back and forth, and like people always people say what they want about LL Cool J, man, but LL Cool J was one guy you don't want to go against in a battle. Like a lot of our younger listeners, they see LL Cool J as an actor, but you don't understand that LL Cool J was Jack the Ripper, King Hercules. Like he was destroying people on the mic. Mm-hmm. So when I heard those lines referenced in the movie, I was like, yes, somebody did their homework.
Yes.
There's some other pop culture guys that appeared in this film, and if you catch it and you're like, oh wow, that's that person. So we already mentioned Anthony Michael Hall has a huge part. That's Adam's dad, the professor. But Simon Rex plays a guy named Donnie Narco, which is another play on words, like a Donnie Darko type thing. But he's like an MC or kind of hosting somebody's battles, and he's charismatic in this one, like hype man / MC. But if you remember him, he got his start, I think, on MTV. He's been in a lot of scary movie series, a bunch of random movies. He was a model. He's had a lot of an interesting career. But yeah, Simon Rex is someone that's recognizable. And I saw him, I'm like, who is that guy? And then I realized it. And then Andy Melanakis is a weird looking little dude who also had some time, I think, on MTV or some Comedy Central or something like that. Yeah. And he pops up as hosting a rap battle, in a seedy, under
a hotel basement or
a hotel
really
basement. Good. There were a lot of rats. It was like a nasty spot. Yeah.
Freddie Hustle.
Yeah, but he's in this, and I'm like, wow, I hadn't seen that guy in forever. And now this movie's 2017, but still, from when he had his moment to now, he had his own show. Andy Melanakis show. It was like a sketch comedy show
on MTV.
Yep,
on MTV.
Yeah, he was a kid back then. Oh man.
Yeah.
Funny guy, man.
He's our age.
He is. He's 47. Yeah. I was like, whoa, there's that guy. I almost forget about this kid. Yeah, those are some of the cameos. Yeah. I was like, oh.
We had Charlemagne the God for anybody who's listening in the tri-state New York area. One of our from 105.1 AM show. He's everywhere, but yeah, I remember him from when he first started on the radio. Oh, I forgot to mention I got Ben Grimm. Ben Grimm, played by Jackie Long, who was Esquire, the character Esquire in ATL, a movie that we've previously reviewed.
That's right. We did an episode on ATL. Yep. Yeah, he's been in a lot of things.
I mean, some of the other faces I remember, I was looking at them, and I remember seeing their faces in some of the other stuff that I've come across, but I couldn't remember from where. I was like, you got that familiar face. I know that face.
Yeah, definitely recognize Divine Right, too. Shaniqua Shandai. I don't know where from, but she looks familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we covered all different aspects here. So why don't we give our ratings? Go around the room. Boogie, for Bodied, would you bring that funky flick back? Or put it in the vault?
I watched it, and I watched it almost a second time. But I think I'll probably bring in Funky Flick back. I think I want to watch it at least a couple more times because I'm pretty sure there's some aspects and elements of the film that I didn't catch. And I think that if I delve into it a little deeper, I'll pull some more out of it and get a little more substance out of it. And I think that I would recommend it for others to watch it as well. See if they can get, something out of it as well. So yeah, I'd bring it back.
How about you, Donna, right?
I will bring this Funky Flick back. I think it's worth seeing. It has some interesting ideas. The racial and ethnic issues are always hard to tackle on film and media, but I think they do a good job about raising some of these questions. So bring this Funky Flick back.
Yeah, I would bring it back as well. So bring this Funky Flick back. I'm always amazed by the creativity of battle rappers, how they can think on their feet. I know they're kind of like comedians in terms of you have some material prepped and you kind of have this foundation or base. But man, when you're in the spotlight and there's a crowd around you, a mob, and you got to stand tall and come back with it. And again, try not to be thrown off your game and take things too personally. A lot of talent here overall.
Yeah.
I liked it. Yep. Go see it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes. Find it on YouTube, I guess.
Yeah, I
watched
saw it on YouTube.
Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi or YouTube.
I watched it on Tubi.
Tubi, so on Prime. It's funny because I went to watch it and I said, oh, let me see if it's on Tubi. I saw it on Tubi and I saved it. And then at the last minute, someone said, yeah, let's do a quick Prime search. And said, oh, watch with Prime. Okay, I'm going to watch it without commercials.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Commercials on Tubi. On the next episode of the Hip Hop Movie Club podcast, your HHMCs review Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Subscribe now in your favorite podcast app and you won't miss it. Shout out to you listeners. Thanks for tuning in.
Remember, don't hate, perpetuate.
Perpetuate.
Perpetuate only the good things, but keep it positive. That's right.
You're right on.
Yes.
Keep it going.